It's interesting. It's cool. I've noticed kind of like an excitement that's here today. That sadly isn't always the case. But it's kind of cool when you walk in the door and you see people almost like excited and pumped up to be at church.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that. And so I'm looking forward to service today. If you have your Bibles, and hope you do, turn to the book of Haggai. Some of you might say, Haggai what? And he made this covenant with Jacob. He made this covenant with the people of Israel. He says, if you do this, I'll do this. And what was the this? He said, if you obey, I will bless. That was God's covenant. That was God's covenant in just a short term, and just you could sum it up into a little box. If you obey, I will bless. Not only bless, but I will prosper you, I will keep you. And all he asks is what? Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Right? You shall worship me with your heart, soul, mind, body, with your whole being. Worship me alone. That was God's covenant condition. God would send another prophet or another judge or another event to bring them back to him. And it was this cycle over and over and over and over and over again throughout the Bible. It's kind of funny, it often resembles our lives. Where we get on fire for God and then something brings us farther away from God. And a lot of times it takes something drastic to bring us back to God. But as we see in the Old Testament, even God, has a limit of which he'll say, okay, if I continue to just allow you to come back and come back without punishment, you're obviously not learning your lesson. Right? I'm about to be a dad, so I'm not an expert. I've never raised a child, but it does make me laugh sometimes when I hear parents go, 1, 2, don't make me count to 3, 2.5, 2 5/8, 2 3/4, 2 7/8. Come on, get there. You gotta obey, right? And I make me laugh. That's what God was doing with the children of Israel. God was literally going, 2. All right, here's another enemy to come and drive you back to me. This is like, in the eyes of a teenager, this is like I'm taking your phone for 2 weeks. Right? Obviously, I'm joking. This is bad news. God said, I'm going to take you out of your home. I'm going to destroy your city, destroy the temple. The very thing that people worship God in, he was going to destroy it. And we see the people still did not obey. We still did not turn their hearts back to God. Man, that's a sort of a message even today. Even though it may feel like you have nothing left, God's not done with you. Because God always wants to bring a remnant into your life. And that's what's up. Logan, did you eat breakfast this morning?
Yeah.
You did, right? So are you one of those guys who kind of like to kind of snacks throughout the day a little bit? Yeah. Are you feeling a little peckish, a little hungry? Well, good for you, because I have a delicious ham and Colby Jack cheese sandwich. This sandwich is looking pretty good. So Logan, if I was to offer this sandwich for you for free, would you take it right now? Okay, what if I was to show you something? So if you would you mind stepping down where you can see the TV, don't block anybody else. But we're going to watch a short video here of me preparing this sandwich. Okay, so if you would, let's go ahead and roll that. Now, Logan, now do you want the sandwich? No, why not? Still it's delicious, right? Why don't you want the sandwich, right? Because it was made by someone with unclean hands. Here's another thing he said. He said, I can't bless you while you're unclean. I cannot bless your unclean, covenant-breaking behaviors. And he says this. He says the parable, but then he says something really awesome in the last part of this passage, and we're almost done. He gives us one more point. First the parable, and he gives us the promise. The promise of this. But from this day on, I will bless you. So God's talking kind of retrospectively. He's saying, hey, remember all that blessing, curse stuff I was talking about? That was before you laid the stone on the temple. But today is the day you started the work on the temple. You started obeying me. You refocused your priorities. You turned your hearts back to me. Today is that day, right now. So then he's talking what they can expect from him. He said, hey, remember all that cursed stuff? Remember how you were living whenever you were trying to prosper and you couldn't? Remember how you had unclean hands? He says, from this day forward, you don't. I want to talk about, first of all, that your blessing is dependent upon your obedience. Because when did God bless these people? When did God bring? When they obeyed. When they stopped working on their stuff. When they stopped being concerned about how nice their house was. When they stopped being concerned about all that stuff that doesn't matter. And when they got their hearts back on building the foundation of the Lord's temple. That's when God said, now I'm going to bless you from this day forward. From this day forward, I'm going to bless you. We're saved by grace, through faith. I'm not saying your obedience is going to get you to heaven. All I'm saying is that your obedience might make life on this earth a little easier. Because you guys ever admit to something to your parents because you knew they knew, and then when you told them they didn't know, and you're like, damn it, they got me. That's what it's like when you admit to sin after you confess it to God. Confess, I'll forgive, and I'll forget. I'll throw it as far as the east is from the west, God says. And then we bring that sin up to God. And we go, God, I'm sorry again. And God goes, what are you talking about? I forgot that. I forgot that sin. And by you completely and bringing it up again and again and again, guess what you're doing? You're doubting. You're saying, God, you couldn't forgive me, so I'm going to say it again. I'm sorry. I'm going to say another rosary. I'm going to do another thing. I'm going to get a little extra commit. I'm going to work the church a little harder because I know that you can't just forgive me. And God said, it already happened. It already happened, man. God's blessing is available to you right now. No matter what you've done, God's blessing is available to you right now. All you have to do is claim it. Obey it. Let's pray.